Hi, I'm Alice, and I was asked to direct my son's Challenge A class starting for the second semester. So since I was new to this, and we have been in classical conversations since the start, he started when he was about 3, I was used to being able to hop on YouTube and find videos of different activities, and I did tutor his foundations class for 2 years, and so I just hopped on there thinking I was going to find guidance that way. I was surprised to find that there just really wasn't. So I wound up getting signed up on a Challenge A Director Facebook page, which I'm very thankful to be a part of. And on that Facebook page, after lots of searching, I found the B. Mallory, which I'll put a link to that in the bottom of this, lesson plans. And then so I've been, for the most part, following those with some adjustments here and there. There are other lesson plans out there, but I found myself searching too much and becoming too overwhelmed with too much information. So I decided I needed to back off from that and just use what I had and then adjust where I felt like I needed to. So her lesson plans are really good, and I'm very thankful to have those. The first one that we do, we start off with the devotion one. And so I would really recommend reviewing that and getting all of your notes and everything. As you can see, I wrote all over mine, tried to kind of think ahead on some of the things to be a little bit more prepared with the class. We spend about 15 minutes on devotion a day, and we do that at the start, and then we open in prayer. I decided to stack my day where we did the most difficult tasks at the beginning of the day, because I kind of felt like after lunch they were going to be kind of tired and harder to keep their attention, so I used that time for the easier ones that they enjoy more, where we can play even more games to kind of help keep them going for the rest of the day. So we go into Latin next. Another thing that I found was Jamwithlatin. I've only heard good things about that, and so I went ahead and signed up for that, and I've been using that along with the notes that is in the B. Mallory's lesson plans. I use hers plus the Jamwithlatin to kind of put together what I want to do for class. And so sometimes it's the games that's in here, sometimes it's not, sometimes I adjust it a little bit, just depending on my class. Now you kind of have to judge it by the kids that you have. I have a class full of 5 boys. We don't have any girls. And so I kind of know the games that they need to play versus if I had an all-girls class or a mixed co-ed class. After Latin, then we do math. We go ahead and go into logic. So I came across Amber's classical classroom. I am so thankful. She's got a director's page. She does YouTube videos for Challenge A directors, and so I watched those. I loved those, and made me feel like I was watching those before I started doing the directing. So for the first semester, I had found those and started watching those to help me just learn what we were even doing, so I could help my son. And so then I signed up for her Math Explorers. And so my son and I watch those together as well, and that just makes Math Map feel so simple and easy to use. So I'll put a link to that also in the description, so that way you can find that if you don't already know about it. It's for the Math Explorers. It's $7 a month, and I feel like it is way worth it. So we do devotion, do Latin, and then we do logic. And then after that, we'll usually go ahead and go into exposition. So that's another one that my boys aren't super thrilled about. And so we'll go into that with all of my strands. I try to play some kind of a game. We always do like an exordium. That's what we call at the beginning of each of them. Something to get their attention, something to make them want to pay attention. Usually when it's a day of they're going to read their essays, there's always an example of some kind of a snack you can bring for the kids to have at the beginning. Kids always love food, so those are always good things to do. And then we introduce whatever the new skill is that they're supposed to be learning that week. Try to play games with that if at all possible to help them build on that or work together on creating more lists for their Annie charts, things like that, working on those skills. And then, we'll do lunch, and then usually, sometimes I've at times have split a strand between lunch. We've started like with research. Right now we're doing anatomy, and so with anatomy, they are having to draw last week's from memory. And so actually the week before last week's from memory, and then we play a game to practice the skills from what was introduced last week, and then we introduce a new topic. So I found that it worked out pretty good to be able to like go ahead and do our blank assessment where they do their drawing, and then go to lunch, and then we come back, and then we do the other part. And so that's worked out pretty well. Sometimes our time just kind of seems like it works well. This week I drew the heart on the whiteboard while the kids were doing their blank assessment, and I numbered the heart. And so we played a game where they had cards, and so based on the number of the card that they had, if it matched up to the number on the board, they would go up and identify what that part of the heart was. And so that's how we got through with labeling the heart, so we could have a review of the heart for this week. For this week, what was really fun is we were introducing skin, and in the lesson plan there was the idea of making model skin out of food. And so we did that for our class, and so we used marshmallows and pudding and graham crackers and chocolate chips. They had in there shoestring potatoes for hair, but I couldn't find those, so we just kind of had to skip that. But the kids really enjoyed that part. They really liked getting to watch that made and eat it. So that made it really fun, and it kind of helped draw them in. So anytime I can add something like that, I think it's a win. For debate, one thing that I like to do is have the kids practice the previous week's area that we were drawing. So for us, it was Northern Africa, because we broke up our Africas. So last week was Northern Africa. So when they came in, the first thing we did was practice drawing Northern Africa. So I will set a timer for 1 minute, and they'll start drawing. And when the timer goes off, then I'll have them pass it to the right. So they'll all pass it to the person to their right, and then they have another minute to draw, and then they pass to the right again until it goes all the way back around, and then they've all drawn on each other's maps and gotten to practice. And so that kind of is a fun way to change it up a little bit. My son seems to really like it. And then we practice, introduce our new map, practice drawing it in class, go over some different facts about the area, let the kids talk about if they know things already about the area, explain that, if they've been there, they visited it. So we have some good conversations during that time. There's a lot of things out there about doing Play-Doh Pictionary for the geography terms. I haven't done that yet, but that is something that's out there that has been suggested a lot of times. So if somebody's already tried that and it worked for them, let me know down in the comments. So my kids absolutely love rhetoric, and so we've really been enjoying doing the fallacy detective and going over all the different fallacies. And so B. Mallory has really good little riddles on her lessons at times and examples to go through, but you can also just go straight through your book and do the questions in the back and talk to the kids about those. But the most favorite thing my kids like to do with it is I have cut up cards that have all the different fallacies on them. And so the kids will divide up into different groups, and they will create their own fallacy to react, to perform for everybody to try to guess what it is that they're doing. And so they love taking turns. And so I'll have them divide up, do that, and then I'll switch the groups up again and have them split up again and come up with a new one and come back. That is their favorite thing to do. They look forward to it every week. It's been lots of fun. And then, so this week in the lesson plan, it had to play, sorry, Connect 4. My mind went blank. They had in there to play Connect 4 this week. And so I drew it all out on the board because I don't have a Connect 4 game. So I was just going to draw it all on the board because stick in the sand, right? We can do that. And I had it all ready. And then I got to the point of reading all of the different scenarios because there's a lot, got pages and pages of them. And so I was going through reading all of them and the kids were just answering, and I completely forgot about dividing them up and doing that. So I think it would have been a lot of fun if I would have remembered to do it, but the kids rolled just fine with just answering them. They didn't even notice that we weren't doing it, didn't even ask why I did what I did on the board. I had to tell them after when I realized what I had done, and we all had a good laugh about it. So that is kind of our day in a nutshell. I will say that don't overdo looking up resources. Keep it simple. Find what works for you, and then just try to keep working that, and you can fine tune where you see that you need to fine tune things. But I found it was like a rabbit hole for me if I started looking for resources and just kept looking and looking. I could go on all night, never actually accomplishing anything, and overwhelming my mind with thinking about too many things and too many choices that were out there. I'm finding that I'm getting a lot more enjoyment out of teaching now that I've kind of found my rhythm, and I'm sticking to that and not trying to look too much. Now I will say ever occasionally there'll be something that I'm going to be introducing, and I'm trying to think of something that would be fun for the kids to do with learning with it. And so I will look a little bit because it's fun to look up different things that we can do for like the heart or all the different anatomy pieces, because I want it to be as hands-on as possible for the kids, because I really think that hands-on games, those kinds of things, are lots of fun. One of the things that I do is I take pictures of the board after I have drawn something on there, or we've worked out a problem together, or say like we worked on the Annie chart together in class, or this week I introduced circumstance. And so in introducing circumstance for exposition, we drew a chart on the board and we worked, I asked the kids the questions and we filled in this chart. So I posted that picture for the kids, so that way they could go back and look at that if they needed to, they would have it. And it's nice for the parents to be able to see what we're doing and what we've accomplished in class. So I think those pictures are really, really helpful to do. So as long as I remember, I always take those before I erase the board. So I hope this is helpful. I really had kind of thought about trying to do a weekly video. So, you know, this week is going over week 22 for semester 2 of Challenge A Classical Conversations. And so I might do another video next week. Just let me know down in the comments if you have questions or anything you think that would be more helpful for me to do. I'm new to all of this. I just know that I was really hopeful to find something out there and was disappointed when there wasn't. Thanks. Have a good night.